Hello you guys, welcome back to another video. This week I wanted to go back to my book roots and do a fun bookish week. So like book shopping, updating my reading journal, doing a full wrap up of all the books that I read over summer, what I want to read for October. I'm getting a new device actually delivered today to help me with like writing and reading comprehension and just experiencing books in a different way. I'm really excited about, and I'm sure many other things, but let's get into it. I realized I have not done any kind of reading wrap up since April, I'm pretty sure. I definitely have reviewed some books here and there in my vlogs, but I kind of wanted to do like a full wrap up of everything I've read over summer. It's about 34 books from May to September, May through September. And I have a lot of fiction, some memoir, and I also have some Christian. I don't know if Christian living is too, I don't even know, but Christian nonfiction maybe is what I would say. So let's get into it and talk about the books that I read over the summer. We're gonna throw it all the way back to the beginning of summer. I read the Summer I Turned Pretty series, just kind of in preparation for the series finishing out and concluding. I got this really gorgeous box set from, I think I got this from Barnes. I think they have it on Amazon now too and at Target. But it's like 3D. It's like kind of lifted up. They're so pretty. They're gorgeous. And I really love these books. The first book I rated 5 stars. The second book I think I rated 3. The final book I rated 5 stars. I think they are just quintessential young romance. Do you need help, honey? This is literally my life right now. Anyway, I just think it's quintessential young romance, flawed characters, selfish characters, romance, friendship. It's very fun. It's a great series, and I love watching the show as well. I've read them twice so far, and I definitely will for sure be reading them again in the future. And I also like the audiobook because Lola Tung, the woman who plays Belly in the series, narrates it on audio. And if you can get it through Libby, I think it's super worth it and a really fun story, especially as like we're getting into summer. It's so fun. And I read The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. This is a memoir, and this is something that's been on my list. I've literally owned this book for years and years. I rated this 5 stars. So good. Very deeply dysfunctional family, but in a very oddly, like in a loving way, but in an odd way. So the back even talks about how just dysfunctional her dad is. Like, he's very loving, there for them, but then when he drinks, things get a little bit crazy, and ended up just being very dishonest, very destructive. And then her mom, super free-spirited and very go with the flow. And when you have a house full of children, that can just be very chaotic. And so she's chronicling her life with her siblings and how that looked. And then eventually they end up in New York City where their parents follow them. I don't want to give too much away because it is honestly a pretty short book and the text is not that small. If you like memoirs that are a little bit, honestly, a lot chaotic, you'll probably really like this. It was fantastic, very interesting. She brought great closure to a lot of like the open loops regarding her parents, her relationship with them. All around, thought it was great. Definitely up there with like Educated by Tara Westover for me, which is one of my favorite memoirs as well. Then I read The Tenant by Frida McFadden. And actually, this is kind of my latest flex, is that my review of The Tenant on Goodreads is going a little bit viral. It's like my most liked review I've ever put on Goodreads, which honestly, I'm not mad at it. I was just trying to be like cheeky, funny, but really I did not like this book really at all. I found it was a lot of her same writing, her same trickery put just into a new book. Frida does this thing sometimes in her books. Colleen Hoover kind of does this thing too, where she'll just give one of the characters a kind of odd fascination towards something. It just gets mentioned all the time throughout the book, and it's very odd. I don't know why they do it. Like, I wonder if it's supposed to be like a red herring where we're supposed to try to focus on this thing and it leads us away from what they don't want us to be focusing on so we don't solve it. I don't know, but it's so odd and it just kind of ends up being distracting. I really do not like when they do that. Also, the female main character, it's like they're not thinking, and I don't like that. I don't like when a mystery is like you kind of have to be like, oh, that's not a red flag, or like, oh, that didn't really mean anything, and it's like it's literally the most atrocious, awful thing somebody can do, and it's like, no, he didn't mean that. I don't really like mystery thrillers that are that way, because it's like, okay, we're just gonna ignore it. That's the plan. So anyway, I think I rated it 1 star. Then I read Firefly Lane, which is actually just right here. This is Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. The cover is so pretty. I love these colors. I'm a big Kristen Hanna fan. I think I've rated like every book I've read from her either 4, 5, or 6 stars. Very great writing, especially her historical fiction. She has so much background research into the books that she writes regarding historical fiction. She interviews people, she visits the sites, she reads books, diary entries. It's so well-rounded, and I think that's why there's such an emotional bend to her writing, because it's actually real stories in some way kind of weaved into this fictional plot or theme. You guys have probably watched the Netflix show or at least heard of it, but it's about 2 best friends. There's a little bit of love triangle that goes on. They end up having like this huge falling out, and you're kind of following their friendship from back when they were children, and then their friendship as adults and everything that's gone into that. Kate, one of the friends, has a daughter, and so that's also a very unique relationship between Kate's daughter and Tully, her best friend, because that's kind of like her aunt, you know, not by blood but just by relation, and that offers a very unique relationship that I feel like we just don't really see in books a lot. Kate is supposed to be just this very nerdy, kind of left behind girl that people make fun of, and then Tully is like hot, sexy, everybody wants to be with her, everybody loves her, everybody's so drawn to her, and so there's also a lot of contention in the friendship because of that. Anyway, I thought it was so fabulous. I think I rated this 4 stars. Right? Yes, I rated it 4 stars. I really thought it was great. Now, I will say we read this in the book club, and a lot of the girls thought that it was like they were so annoying. I don't know. I always just say if a book sounds interesting to you, read it anyway, regardless of what the reviews are, because you might really like it. Like I could say, if you really want to like all of the action behind your characters that you read about, don't read it. But honestly, you might read it and still like it. So I'm just letting you know what I thought about it. I thought it was great. I thought it was very realistic of just 2 imperfect women trying to remain friends through all of the little fights that you could have, disagreements, all of that. I think it's so realistic, and I thought it was so relatable. And I read What Should Have Been Ours by Faith Pinkett. I think I did actually review this on my channel, so I'll just say it quick. I thought it was fabulous. It is a second chance romance. They had childhood cancer together and then were separated, like their lives just went down different paths, and then I think they run into each other in their adult life and end up hitting it off. You know what I mean? Second chance, there we go. And they're kind of battling these feelings of like, why didn't you reach out to me? No, why didn't you reach out to me? What happened? Like, are we gonna talk about it? And I thought it was great. It reminded me a lot of like the romances I like to read when I was in junior high, like John Green vibes. Of course, like the cancer just always will give me John Green, Grey's Anatomy type of feelings, because it does take place in a hospital quite a bit. I thought it was really great, especially for a debut book. Another debut book that I was very shocked by as well, and I'm like, wow, these debut authors I think are really stepping it up, because you would not be able to tell by reading it that it is their first book. Another book I don't own the physical copy of, Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I rated this 2 stars, and honestly I rated this 2 stars months ago. I read this in May going into June. It's just not memorable at all. I actually don't remember a single thing from that book. Like actually I'm trying to think and I don't remember a single thing. That's my problem with some romance that is released, is it's just not like I don't even know what the point of it was. Yes, there's plot, yes, there's scene, the greater meaning of the story, it's forgotten. It's gone out of my brain. So then by this point, this is when the travel diary videos kind of kept going. I think I might have been on my second one if you're watching those. And I was reading the Twilight series because we were heading into Oregon, Washington area, and I wanted just like cozy fall vibes. And also those books take place in that area in the Pacific Northwest. I'm a Twilight stan. A lot of my childhood memories of like reading in bed late into the night are with Twilight, so it is just always gonna have a special place in my heart. I have like the regular copies, actually, can you see them? Yes, I have the regular copies right here, and then Barnes or is this Barnes, or I don't even know, but I got these from Barnes. They came out with a special edition set, and they're so pretty. Twilight, the books inside are just plain black. Well, it's green inside here, which is so pretty. And then they're just black on the inside, in case you're wondering. New Moon, this is for sure one of my favorites. So pretty. Clips, which I'm pretty sure when I ordered this online, I'm pretty sure this is Mount Hood. And we went there. So cool. That's so fun. Is it Mount Hood or is it Mount St. Helens? I'm not entirely sure. I Googled it, but there was not anything on there about it. Then we have Breaking Dawn. I also love, I mean, I love all the covers. I think the house is so fun and it looks just so crisp and clean. Oh, there's also sprayed edges. I don't think I showed you. They're like sparkly stars. Then we have Midnight Sun, which is just a continuation of the flowers. And there we go. I love this series. When this got delivered, I honestly wanted to reread it again because even though I just read it, I would probably say Twilight is 5 stars. New Moon is 4. Eclipse is 5. Breaking Dawn, also 5. Very stressful reading experience. And I've actually never read Midnight Sun, so I actually need to read that. I had it on hold on Libby, but I think the hold canceled, I'm not really sure. And I declare that it is gonna be an Elin summer. I love reading Elin Hilderbrand books during the summertime. I mean, really year round, but especially during summer because she actually writes a good portion of like each of her books actually on the beach. So I feel like it just captures it so well. Like you can just tell that she wrote these while she's sitting on the beach. This is the Identicals. I rated this 3 stars. I actually kind of almost want to reread it because it was interesting, but in comparison to some of the other Elin novels, it wasn't, I think it didn't have enough mystery for me or like suspense. But in this one, we're following 2 sisters, but they're like estranged, they don't talk. So one kind of lived with the mom, one lived with the dad. Now they're grown. There's just a lot of gossip, a lot of bad blood between them. I think it says on the back, so I can say this, but they end up kind of like swapping lives in a sense. There wasn't that much to it. Now, do I think it's worth reading? Absolutely. I think every Elin book is worth reading. What I did not like about this was the ending. To me, it fell so flat, and I wish there was more meat on the bone, you know what I mean? Also, there's an epilogue from the dog's point of view, and I'm just not a dog person like that. I'm just not, and I won't be. Like, in my mind, I was like, this is very much giving I let my dog kiss me on the mouth. Like, that is what it felt like reading the dog's POV epilogue. Did not like that. After that, I read Winter in Paradise. I have the second book too. I read both of them. Now this is fabulous Elin Hilderbrand writing. I rated both of them 4 stars. I need to read the last one. I have it on my Kindle. I just haven't started it, or I kind of got started, but I haven't finished it. But I feel like this is quintessential Elin writing. You get a lot of characters, you get suspense, you get interesting family dynamics, mess, you get gossip, you get all of the perfection that is Elin's writing, but you also get a really gorgeous setting. These are, I think, her only books that are set in St. John, and they're great. I love them. I read It's a Love Story by Annabelle Monaghan. I was really looking forward to this new release from her. I have loved her books in the past. I think I rated both. I think I rated Summer Romance a 6 star, maybe a 5 star, I cannot remember, but I love that book. I think it's perfect. And then I also read Same Time Next Summer, which I think I rated that one 5. Great, loved it, fabulous. True romance, it was just perfect. This was like cringe soup. I just couldn't quite get past it. I also found it was not memorable whatsoever. This fell into the category of like romance, but nothing, like no meat on the bone, really is like all I can. She boneless. I can't remember a single thing about it. Like what was the substance? I don't know. I think the problem might have been is that the female main character is supposed to be this like really dorky, had braces girl, and something about how she was written was it didn't really draw you in as a reader. It kind of was like, I don't know about this pipeline, this nerdy girl, because it's like, okay, if you're a nerdy girl, that's fine, but then like it literally says on the back that she embraces this new mantra of fake it till you make it, and it kind of makes her very annoying. And then it was just a no for me, 1 star. And I read Fast by Millie Belizaire. This was a book recommendation from one of the girls in the book club. I still don't even have a rating for this book because I don't even know what you rate something like this. Wow, it's such a difficult read. It's very graphic. There's a lot of trigger warnings, so just beware. I think I struggle because books that describe such violent things, I have a hard time being like, yes, 5 stars, recommend. Because I'm also not the kind of star rater where if a book makes me cry, it immediately goes 5 stars. Or like if it makes me feel anything, it goes 5 stars. Because I guess my rating isn't based off of how a book makes me feel, more so how it makes me think or challenges me, or writing, character, plot, themes, all of that, like all into one. Sure, the book will make you feel, it will probably make you cry, but do I recommend it just because it makes you feel that way? I'm unsure. I just can't get over the graphic part. Like I actually like couldn't even read it. I had to like skip over it. You're following 2 kids going to school, they become friends, they become lovers. One of them is exposed to things at a young age. The other is living in like this really bad situation at home. Things progressively get worse. They don't see each other for a long time and they come back together. It's like one of those storylines. Like honestly, I'd probably rate it 2 stars, but I'm also like, a lot of people on Goodreads really like it, so I don't know. I think it just wasn't maybe for me. Another book I don't own is The Compound by Aislinn Rahl. I think this is a debut book as well. I rated this 4 stars. This was kind of marketed as like Lord of the Flies, Big Brother, Survivor, Love Island, kind of all mixed in one, like different components from each of those shows. I've not watched basically any of the shows I just listed except Survivor. And I would say like it's probably pretty accurate just based on like clips I've seen or like previews for those shows. I would say like it kind of lines up. You're watching these contestants through cameras that are set up around the property. They're all kind of doing this competition as a means of like escaping their lives at home, and they just have them do like really strange competitions, like social experiment type competitions, like, oh, hug this boy and you'll get a CD or a CD player or a curling iron or whatever, and it'll be like these sponsored gifts. It's very interesting and I really liked it, honestly. This is another book club book. A lot of the girls didn't really like it that much, but it's probably 50-50 on like the people that didn't really like it and the people that did. 4 stars. I think it might fall flat for you if you do watch a lot of very entertaining television. Then you might feel like I would have rather watched it. Maybe you'll feel that way, but I think because I actually don't really watch a ton of reality TV. Oh, and I would say a little bit of The Bachelor too, because there's boys and there's girls. I thought it was such an interesting concept. And the ending definitely does make you think. So I rated it 4 stars. I thought it was great and very entertaining. Sometimes I do love just like a very entertaining read that is fun and a little bit unhinged. I was here for it. Then I read Dinner for Vampires by Bethany Joy Lenz. I think I also have reviewed this on here so far, but just bear with me. Okay, I love this book. I think this is definitely top 5 in my top 5 favorite memoirs. This was so good. This is like the story of how she came to be in a cult and all of that. Okay. But I think sometimes memoirs, although they have like this interesting premise or like this thing that will draw a reader in, like how it says life on a cult TV show while also in an actual cult. Okay, obviously we're going to learn about cults, but if you can also tell the story in a very appealing way, in a thorough way, perfect timing, oh my, this is it. This is like a perfect memoir. Honestly, it's perfect. Not that it's because it's so interesting or about a cult, but because the way she told it is perfect. It just scratched something in my brain. It was so satisfying, so satisfying. If you listen to the audio, she actually narrates it, which I think helps a lot too. She also wrote this in the perfect way to be narrated. I'm listening to another memoir right now on Libby, and it is really bad writing. It's written in a way that you would talk to somebody versus in a way like for actual writing. You know what I mean? We don't write books the way we talk, otherwise it just sounds odd. So it's the same thing when you end up listening to the audio. It kind of sounds like a podcast. It's supposed to be a book, not a podcast. Otherwise, it could have just been a podcast. You know what I mean? So this is perfect. You also listen to her story, and she clearly is so talented. And then you're like, she's talking about her talents while also writing a 10 out of 10 memoir, and you're just like, she's just so talented. She can do so much in this acting, writing, speaking space. It's perfect. It is literally perfect. I love everything about this. More than the story, like the story is very interesting, but man, the timing, the pacing, the characters, how she tells it, the impact on her. Yeah, it's great. It's really, really fabulous. 5 stars, obviously. And I read Paris Hilton's memoir. Why did I do this to myself after coming off of that? I am not sure. I rated it 2 stars on Goodreads, but honestly, I would probably rate it 1 star. It was one of those memoirs where I was kind of like fighting to get through it because the beginning is very airhead, and then there's a little bit, like she gets into a little bit more deeper topics, her actual thoughts behind things, and I just found it's all very frivolous. And I was just kind of like, why did I read this? Why did I subject myself to this type of torture? In homeschool, I try to be consistent with read alouds with the boys. I really want to get into doing more chapter books. Lately, I've just been reading more stories, but I did read The Magician's Nephew over the summer basically, and I thought it was really good. I've never read The Chronicles of Narnia. I rated it 4 stars. I thought it was really great. It was very engaging for the boys. I decided to start with The Magician's Nephew instead of starting with Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Right, that's the next book? Yeah. I know there's a lot of elements in the kind of like prequel, or it's kind of like where it all starts is in The Magician's Nephew. I knew that it could end up kind of being confusing, especially for a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old. It's also really fun to point out all of the parallels between The Magician's Nephew and the Bible. Sin corrupting the world, Adam and Eve, how the evil that is invited into some of their lives ends up hardening their hearts towards other people. It's so interesting to read. It's so fun pointing it out, or just being like, ooh, who does this kind of sound like? Or what Bible story sounds very similar to this? It was a lot of fun. And I read my friend Faith's book, No More Boring Bible Study. Why taking scripture seriously is easier and more interesting than you think. And Kaylin actually wrote a little endorsement for it, so when you guys buy it, you guys will see our little endorsement on there. But I think it's so great, especially like for somebody like me who I didn't grow up going to church like with my family or anything, so I didn't get any lessons on like how to read the Bible or what you're supposed to do with it or how to read it, when to read it, all that stuff. I never got that. So I think it's a really good resource if you're looking for that push to be like, why do we read the Bible? Why should we love it? Why should we treasure it? Why should we take it seriously? How should I read it? And then what should I do with what I read? I think that you will really love it. I think that it will be beneficial to a lot of people. And I think it's the push that a lot of people need to be like, okay, let me really lock into this. I'll actually link it down below. Then I kind of got on a little Christian book kick. I read You're Not Enough by Allie Beth Stuckey. This is actually a reread for me. I read it twice now. The pages are actually like turning that golden-y color, can you tell? Anyway, yeah, this is my second read of this. I thought I had taken notes in here. I love this book. I honestly feel like I need to reread this every single year. It's just such a good reminder. I talked about this in one of my YouTube videos when I had read this. One of the main things that I take away from this book is self-forgetfulness, because it is a constant and very exhausting ordeal and part of life to just be thinking about ourselves, how we look, our jobs, how we're parenting, all the things, you know? And the gift of self-forgetfulness, and just stop thinking about yourself so much and focus on serving and loving other people. It's such a good reminder of like, ultimately a lot of things we worry about just don't really matter. But she gets through so much in just this little book. She talks about the lie of you are enough. Her myth number 2 is you determine your truth. The third lie is you're perfect the way you are. The fourth lie is you're entitled to your dreams. And the fifth lie, you can't love yourself you can't love others until you love yourself. Like, those are some of the main things that people tell themselves when you're down in the dumps and you're just like, I'm enough, I can do this, I deserve this good thing, I'm perfect the way that I am, I'm entitled to whatever I want, and everybody needs to give me the space and time to be the perfect person so that I can then love them, and how all of those things are not biblical. I will tell you, one of the things I underlined, it says, God promises that no matter our job, no matter our salary, no matter our marital status, no matter our fertility or lack thereof, He will be with us. He will be our sustenance, our strength, our joy, our source of satisfaction, our ever-present help, relentless redeemer, compassionate friend, and faithful father. I mean, yeah. Amen to that. I think when I read this book, it really just strips away all of the impact that culture and society has had on me. And I'm like, oh yeah, let me just like go back to the roots. Let me just go back to what really actually matters. Then I read The Night is Normal by Alicia Britt Cole. I actually am going to reread this. It was hidden on my shelf. You guys, this book, I almost feel like my experience reading this book didn't happen. Like, I almost feel like that was not real life. She sent this to me. Actually, I don't even know when. She wrote me a letter. Dearest Kyra, she's so sweet. I've had this book for a really long time. What made me pick this up? I actually don't know. Why did I read this? It's so weird. Like, my whole experience around this book is just really kind of freaks me out because it's so strange. I have never heard anybody speak about, write about disillusionment in this way. In this book, she calls disillusionment the painful gaining of reality. And if you've ever been disillusioned, which I am often disillusioned, It's true. It hurt. It'd be painful. I just like, and wow, this book literally changed my life. And she talked about like, okay, so she's a disillusionment with one another is as old as the fall. Adam ate the forbidden fruit of his own free will, but when confronted by God about his choice, he blamed his wife before confessing to his own complicity. And she just goes on to list all of these betrayals, like Cain and Abel, Noah and Ham, Abraham, Sarah, all of their issues. She said God's grasp of time is immeasurably beyond us. His vantage point is higher than ours. We experience disillusionment because it feels like God is ignoring or overlooking us, but from an eternal perspective, he never does. She will like relate to you on this like aspect of disillusionment of like, you probably feel this way, you probably think this way, but then like so gently and sweetly correct you and be like, no baby, come here, let me show you this in the Bible, like let me show you what actually, it is so perfect. I love this book. It actually says a guide through spiritual pain, which I almost didn't read this because I was like, I'm not necessarily going through like a spiritual hardship right now. This actually was so fun to read. It was so good. And it's just fun to read about disillusionment because I've never read anything about that. And it did kind of make me want to go down a disillusionment rabbit hole. I also said that she sent this to me, but she sent this to me 2 years ago and it's been sitting on my shelf. I never read it and I'm like, wow, maybe it's just perfect timing. We'll just say that it's perfect timing that I read it now. I love that book. 5 stars. I feel like I'm still kind of unclear like fully what it's about because I think I was just so in shock that somebody was writing so clearly about exact thoughts I've had, exact feelings I've had, exact like pains that I've had, that I almost sped through it because I was like, there's no way this is happening. Like I was like a racehorse reading through it. And now I need to like go back and read it again and kind of like calm down and be like, it's okay, you can enjoy yourself reading it, because I was kind of like, how does she know this about me? Like, is this play about me? Then I read Raising Emotionally Strong Boys, Tools Your Son Can Build On for a Life by David Thomas. I rated this 5 stars. I don't know why, I kind of got on like this little, maybe with the start of homeschooling stuff, I kind of got on this like Christian parenting book tip for a little bit. Specifically around raising boys, I specifically wanted to read from other men how they go about parenting boys. I do think listening to men on how to parent boys can be really important because they have this unique perspective. It would be the same thing if I had daughters. I would be like, no, listen to me. I'm a girl. I know these things. That's kind of how I feel about raising boys is, of course, I'm maternal. Of course, I'm their parent. But I also am like, they are going to have unique experience. They have unique experiences. Testosterone, all these things that I just don't relate to. I don't understand. I don't want to parent them as girls when they're boys. You know what I mean? So I just really, I sought out males that wrote books on parenting boys and I thought it was fantastic. I feel like I got like the stamp of approval on my parenting because a lot of what he said in the book I was like, okay, yeah, I already know all of this. So it just actually reassured me that I'm not doing anything wrong, or like I'm on the right path. I'm doing the right things for them as far as raising them up, parenting them. I want them to be very strong men. I want them to be able to carry the responsibility that is coming for them. Life is not easy. I hope that they will one day be married and have their own kids. And I just know as an adult now myself how much responsibility that is and how much weight that is. And I feel as a woman and how much more as a man, and they're going to be leading their families. Their wife in the future is probably going to be looking at them to be the rock, a provider, stable, emotionally stable, kind, thoughtful, generous, all these things. And so it just can be a lot as a parent to be like, wow, there are so many characteristics that I want to make sure I hit on, make sure I get it right. And so I would just want to be looking to the right people, looking to the right voices to help me in this whole parenting thing, whole motherhood thing. And I thought it was really great, especially if you are a parent to boys. I think that he actually wrote the book for men, but I was like, I'm a woman, but I'm raising boys. So I thought it was great. Then I read The Surrogate Mother by Frida McFadden, and this was 2 stars. It was another one of those things where like the female or like the characters kind of just don't think before they make decisions, and it just doesn't lead to that great of a mystery for me or that great of a thriller for me, because it's like, oh, we're just gonna ignore this like huge red flag and act like that didn't really happen. Ugh, kind of a tough read for me, so 2 stars. Then I read The Intentional Father. This is another parenting book, obviously. It says A Practical Guide to Raise Sons of Courage and Character. This is by John Tyson. I actually rated this one 2 stars. I really didn't like this one. I thought it was a little bit fluffy in that he had some like hacks or like things you can do, but it was a little bit over the top. Like one of them, he was like talking about going on this large hiking, camping adventure with his son over like, I think it was like a month or something. I don't know, maybe it was a week. I don't even know, but it was like over a long amount of time and it cost like a lot of money to do. And he was like, yeah, if you can do this, I don't know. It's a little bit fluffy. And also, he was like saying all these things to do, but I found there was just an overall lack of biblical references. So really, it was just kind of his perspective, his opinion. And it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my favorite, but you might like it. Other people might find it helpful. So then I read 3 Days in June by Ann Tyler. I think I got this on Libby. Very interesting. The female main character, she's so quirky. She's so different. Her daughter is getting married. She's divorced. She's kind of just like all over the place. Her daughter's also kind of all over the place. And then her ex-husband shows up to her house. And then she just starts questioning her past decisions. And I just found it a little bit relatable because she questions her past decisions because she's just such a thinker, I think. And she ended up thinking herself out of her marriage. Like she gets like too wrapped up in herself and what she thinks she should do and how she should think about things. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. And the ending was fabulous. I thought it was so sweet. So I rated that 4 stars. 6 more books left. We can do it. These are my most recent reads. I think these are my September reads officially. Okay. I read The Names by Florence Knapp. I actually talked about this in my last vlog, so I will actually link that down below, or like I'll put it up here so you guys can watch that because I talked about it a lot. I talked a lot about like how relatable it is in the aspect of like growing up in an abusive household, all of that stuff. This is a debut book. I cannot believe it. This is 5 stars. This is a phenomenal book. It's almost perfect. I want to reread it because I feel like my favorite books that I read and I'm like, wow, that was so good. I feel like because I think it's so good in the moment, I'm like literally devouring it that I'm almost like that's literally me reading it. I just try to get through it. So not that I try to get through it quick, but I just end up reading it so fast because I'm like, wow, this is so good. Writing in this one is so good. You would not know at all this is a debut book. Told from 3 different perspectives, I believe. It's about a little boy who was born and his dad wants him to be named after him because that's kind of like their family tradition, except the father is abusive and so his wife does not want to name the baby after him, and so it follows these different perspectives based on what she ends up naming him. So if she names him after the father, kind of like the life path. If she names something else, the life path, something else, the life path, you know? Yeah, that was great. I also think it's really fantastic when an author can hit on really tough topics and make it just as impactful on the reader without going into every little detail of what that abuse looks like. I think that it's amazing that she could do that because she didn't go into every minute detail of what abuse looks like and literally give a play-by-play for us. I don't like reading that. I think it's too much. I think it's unnecessary. I think that if you are a really skillful writer, you can write a very impactful book without making it so gory and just awful to read and having these like very awful scenes. And that's exactly what she did. She did great. Then I read The Hotel Nantucket. This is actually our second book club book. This and this. These were August books, but I think I didn't finish them in time. Or I just didn't update my Goodreads in time. I'm not sure. I still haven't rated this on Goodreads. This is maybe a 3 star for me. I didn't hate it. I think that this was like, Ellen definitely wrote this for her older demographic, or maybe her demographic is just older and we shouldn't be here. I'm not sure. It is very retired moms, grandmas coming together for this weekend. And I mean, there is like a lot of characters, there's drama, of course. Not my favorite, 3 stars, but still good. I'll talk about my 2 recent books. I read The Queens of Crime by Marie Benedict. Actually, I listened to it on audio. It's fun. It's a little bit of a mystery. It's like the top 5 crime mystery writers come together to solve a real life mystery. And it was just okay. I think the problem was it was just a little bit boring. And the ending felt very flat for me. It wasn't exciting at a certain point. I think I'd probably give it 2 stars. Then I read A Marriage at Sea, true story of love, obsession, and shipwreck. I must have gotten this recommendation from somewhere because I had it on hold at my library, and so it came available. I was like, why not? You're following Maurice and Marilyn, and they get stranded out at sea for like 118 days. 118 days. in this little tiny boat because their actual boat like sinks, and so you follow them like on the water for all these days. I feel this cannot be spoiled because it is biography, like this info is already out there. It's also a story from like the 1970s. Anyway, it chronicles their rescue and kind of how they are afterward, and it's super interesting. I thought it was great. It kind of led me down this other rabbit hole of just like looking at their diary entries and stuff like that, because they both wrote in diaries during this whole thing, so you get like their actual thoughts, opinions, feelings over the whole thing. Very interesting. I didn't rate that either, but I'd probably rate it, honestly, I rated a solid 4 stars. Like, I think it was told very well. Probably the most controversial books I've read this year so far. What should I start with? I guess I'll start with A Little Life, because I have not given a review for A Little Life yet. This is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. This is a lot of people's favorite book, but also I feel like a lot of people hate this book. I would say I was pretty into the story after the first 70 pages. Like, the beginning was a little bit boring. I've been telling all my friends that are reading it to read the first like 100 pages in one sitting. Like, if you can, like, dedicate an hour and a half, 2 hours to just sit down and get through the first little chunk, because this is 115 pages. So the story, like, you kind of got to really get into it, learn the characters, all of that. And this book has about every trigger warning you could possibly think of. And everybody says that they like sob cry. I didn't even cry at all reading this. To me, actually, the book felt very fictional. The characters felt very distant from me. I didn't feel like they were real people living in New York, going about their life. It just didn't seem realistic. So I didn't feel connected to them. And I think that made it not as emotional for me of a read. I think sure, the book has great themes, great topics, great characters, but there are also a lot of books that have great themes, great topics, write about important things without being so sad all the time. Like, there's just a lot of bad stuff that happens. Like, once you reach, like, I think the halfway mark, I'd probably say, it is just sad thing after sad thing after sad thing after sad thing, that it's like, okay, 3 stars. Then I read, this is the last, I think this is my last book. This is my 36th book I think I've talked about. This is Toxic Empathy, How Progressives Exploit Christian Compassion by Ali Stuckey. I wasn't sure if I would like this book, if I would agree with it. It's kind of like her other book where she tackles like 5 top things. So she has 5 lies that she says. Number 1, abortion is healthcare, trans women are women, love is love, no human is legal, social justice is justice. I think this is great just because it does deep dive, maybe not deep dive, but it does dive into a lot of great topics that I think if you didn't grow up in the political sphere and you're kind of just like, there's so much going on at one time, I'm not even sure where to start. I think as a Christian, this is maybe a good place to start. Now, I'm not saying I agree with everything she wrote in this book. I'm just putting that out there. I do think it's a great resource, and I think it will also help a lot of people. Also, empathy is just the freaking word of the year. Like, I'm actually so tired of hearing the word empathy. Everything is empathy at this point, and it does kind of drive me crazy. Like, I think we should pick a different word or pick something else to focus on. Everything just gets the excuse of like, oh, it's empathy, or like have some empathy, or read this book. I'm reading because empathy. And I don't know, I'm just kind of tired of the word. So anyway, those are the 36 books I have read in the past May, June, July, August, September, 5 months. Wow. I went through my shelves just now and I pulled out a little October TBR that I think would be good. It's already October 8th, so I didn't want to do a whole TBR jar or anything like that because I don't know, I feel like the week is already flying by, and then by the time you guys see this video, it will be next week. So I just pulled a few books that I think I will be able to read in October and I think I'll enjoy. First book being Stephen King's On Writing. Well, actually, let me start with my first Stephen King that I've actually already started. 11/22/63. I think this is very fall vibes. This is a historical fiction on the assassination of JFK. There's a little bit of magical realism. I think there's actually might be a lot of magical realism in this. It is so many, how many pages is this? 849 pages, 850. Following, I think somebody who thinks they can stop the assassination or something along those lines. I am only like 3 chapters into this and it is so interesting so far. His writing is so good. Like, it is just, it's scratching something in my brain that is just, it's everything. So I cannot wait to keep reading it, and hopefully my opinions don't change. Sometimes that happens where I speak so highly of a book and then I'm eating my words and I'm like, oh, actually, it didn't eat. So We will see. We'll see. Then my second Stephen King novel I've ever read. So 11/22/63 will be my first one. This will be my second. This is his memoir, basically on writing. Literally a memoir on the craft of writing. Picture of him on the front. And I think that listening to interviews, reading books on authors talking about how they write, why they write, how they got into all that is so interesting. So I'm excited to read this. I have another book that is like on writing. I don't know, this is more so like a reference book, I think, but I'm just gonna flip through it and read it. It's just kind of about the composition of writing. It's called The Elements of Style by William Strunk Jr. It just looks like this. And the text is honestly pretty big. It's mostly a reference book, but I'm still gonna just go through it and read it really quick. One of the little sections is words and expressions that are commonly misused. Just good to know stuff as a writer. Okay, then I think I also wanna read Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. How cute is this little copy? It's kind of like a traveler size. This is obviously a classic. This is a little Penguin Classics I got from Barnes. Did I get this last year maybe? Anyway, I don't think I've ever read Of Mice and Men, and it's a classic. I need to. It's only 100 pages. I think I could do it. Then we have Lord of the Flies, another classic. I really want October to be a little bit of a different reading month. I think I'm kind of getting burnt out a little bit on just like plain old fiction. So I'm trying to spice up my reading with some classics and stuff like that. Lord of the Flies, another gorgeous Barnes edition. They have the covers that have like the flaps and then the deckled edges. I really love that. I don't think I ever read Lord of the Flies in school. So I shockingly don't know literally anything about it. Like I don't know what goes on besides the fact that I think there's a plane crash, right? And then they basically turn into, they go kind of crazy and they like lose all of their humanity. I don't know, it sounds interesting. Oh wait, let me go grab another book. So if you guys didn't know, I'm actually the worst person to do a traveling annotation with because, Lizzie, I'm so sorry. This book has been sitting in my office for a long time. In the book club, we're doing a traveling annotation where you pick a book, annotate it, tab it, all of that, and then send it to the next person. Okay, well, this has been sitting in my office because I have a problem. I'm scared. Okay, so anyway, this is Lizzie's book that she sent me. And I'm gonna read it this month. Like I'm gonna pass it on. It's gonna be great. This is Americana. A little note. Americana, very cute. And then here are all of her tabs so far. They match the book so perfectly. Oh, I can't wait. There's so many like little blurbs and stuff like that. This is the novel about star-crossed lovers, explores modern questions of race and being Black in America and the search for what it means to call a place home. They depart military-ruled Nigeria for the West. Beautiful, self-assured, she heads for America where despite her academic success, she is forced to grapple with what it means to be Black for the first time. Post 9/11 America, dangerous, undocumented life in London. Okay, sounds so good. This is chunky. This is almost 600 pages, but it will be read this month. And then also there's a little envelope with bookmarks. Take one and pass it on. It's so cute. It's literally our book club name. She had these made. Wait, I'm so impressed. How sweet. For options. Okay, which one do I want? I like the green gingham. That's so cute. Aw, I love it. Then because I need to read my own book to send as my own, because that's Lizzie's book, so I need to pick my own book for the group I'm in. And I'm gonna try Same as It Ever Was by Claire Lombardo. This is spoken very highly of. And the back of this, I think I vlogged the day that I went to Barnes and I bought this. Eternal ambivalence, intergenerational friendship, and the happenstance that governs all of us. Delving into the core of our relationships, how they grow, change, and sometimes end. She proves herself a definitive cartographer of the human heart and one of the finest novelists of her generation. That's a big statement. Anyway, it should be good. I'm hoping it is. My problem is I start books thinking that they're gonna be for the traveling annotation, but then they end up just not being great enough to annotate, tab, and all of that because there's just like not enough there. You know what I mean? So hopefully this is gonna be the one that sticks. fingers crossed. And yeah, that's my little, I feel like technically because I have so many classics and like books on writing, it's a little bit of a October curriculum, which I think is a lot of fun. I also am trying out different journaling systems. Actually, you guys might see that in this video because it should be delivered in time. So actually you guys might see it, so stay tuned because at the end of this video, I have a new little writing device that I think will be a lot of fun and will add to my little curriculum that I have going on here. The curriculum thing is like a huge TikTok trend right now of trying to fight against the brain rot that happens in like short form content and the constant scrolling. And I mean, it can even happen in reading and YouTube, honestly, as well, just like mindlessly consuming. And it's just kind of a call to like turning your brain on and self-learning and how important that is. And I love, so I always go to school, drop out, go back to school, drop out. I love learning, and I'm just like, I can just make my own curriculum and learn the things that I want to learn. So here we are. Here's my little October TBR curriculum, whatever. Awesome. My first car listen of Life of a Showgirl. I think I took the stay-at-home and stay-at-home mom a little too seriously, and I need to get out of the house. So it's just me today. I ended up at Barnes. What can I say? I ended up at Barnes. It's okay. I haven't been here since like the start of fall. Like I just want to see what they have and take a look around. I also brought my I don't know why that happened. Anyway, I brought my reading journal with me. Well, this is, I don't know if I think I did show you guys, I don't know if you saw, but I started a new reading journal in this kind of like journaling ecosystem, so I kind of want to update it. I brought everything with me to update it. If I have time, we'll see. Let's get out and just honestly get around some people. This is the mall I was followed at not too long ago, so I kind of hate coming here, but I'm also like, I need to get out of the house. So we're just gonna do it. I found myself entering into a classics, and I think this is so pretty, but I cannot believe they ruined it with pink sprayed edges. Like, I really don't like that. It's like Sherlock Holmes, it's so pretty, and they put green. I just don't like it. I wish like this with deckled edges would be my dream. I actually do kind of like this, the Dracula, because it's black. I feel like it's not as bad. It's like neutral, kind of like the gray too. The gray doesn't look as bad, but I kind of want a copy of Dracula. This is an epistle something type of book because it like we're learning what we're learning through like diary entries. Let's go upstairs. They just came out with these. It's so pretty. These colors. They launched a new, I think a lot of new ones. Like this is new too, I'm pretty sure. I have both Anna Karenina and Dracula on my list. But I'm like, do I like these copies? Also, I have A Tale of Two Cities on my list, and this looks just very satisfying. Like, the pages are so perfect. There's a design on the side. This is actually so pretty. That's so pretty. This one is so pretty. I always do this. I love the cloth bound, but these are so pretty, too.
Finding everything okay today?
I am, yes, thank you. Found this copy. It's so pretty. It's not on my list, but she's very cute. You see my problem? Like, which one do I pick? That is so pretty. But then this is so cool too. Like, for graphics, it's too hard. I left my black pen at home. How did I leave my ballpoint pen at home? So, could only do what I had to do with markers, and then I also realized I miscalculated on how many books I've read, and so I think my chart is off. So I need to go home and like figure that out. When I read Breaking Dawn, I guess I didn't track it. So I need to go back and figure out what that means. Okay, we're out. I'm pretty sure I got all classics. which is of course a lot of fun. And I think I got almost every book that was on my list. The only thing I didn't get was a book called Catch-22. Apparently it's really really great writing. Kind of a good book to read if you're wanting to write books or you do write books. But I guess he said that a professor used it as curriculum for one of his classes, so they're all sold out. So I guess I'll just wait on that one, but still got a lot of good books. Back home, let's see how quickly I can haul these books before it's dinner time and everybody gets out of the shower. Starting with Huck Finn by Mark Twain. I did get this copy because it's so cute. I honestly was like, what experience do I want to have with the book? And I just cannot turn down a deckled edge with this like flap. I can't stop. Did I read Huck Finn growing up? I think so. I think I also read my next book, To Kill a Mockingbird, but I literally don't remember anything from either of these books. So besides, like, I remember the themes, like the overall greater themes, but I don't remember actually reading them. I hardly remember like key characteristic traits or anything like that. So I got both of these with the deckled edges. I also consider this whole haul to be like research for the book I want to write. So that's why if you're like, girl, this is the weirdest haul of books you've ever done, that's why. It's less like, of course I'm gonna enjoy them. Like, I love classics. After I read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, I was like, oh, I actually think I'm gonna be a classics girl. They're just like in my brain so daunting. Shy away from it because I feel like it's gonna take me longer to read it, and I'm so used to reading books in like a few days. So I need to like give up that preconceived notion that I need to read a book quickly and start reading books that might take me longer to read, but I'm actually probably gonna enjoy them more. Hence, Rebecca was my first 6-star read ever, and I think about that book all the time. I cannot wait to reread it. It's so good. So I'm hoping that as I read more classics, I will have more experiences like that versus like these kind of more shallow experiences I tend to have with a lot of general fiction or like romance that I read. So anyway, here are my first two. This book was not on my list. This is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, and this is a 40th anniversary edition. How neat is this? I really love this, and of course it has the deckled edges. Like, I love, like, let's just deckled edge every book. It has a little flap, very cool. This was published in 1985, and I do know there's like a decline in birth rate, and so they enslave the remaining fertile women. It says, just as the world of Orwell's 1984 gripped our imagination, so will the world of Atwood's Handmaid. Sounds so interesting. Am I gonna be a little bit scared? Maybe, but I'm always open to trying something new. Then I picked up A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I heard that his writing is a good example of how you can take what you see in everyday life, the smells, the people you see, the interactions you have, the way things look, the way you experience things, and use those words, experiences to help you write really beautiful scenes. I heard that he is a great example of that in his writing specifically. So I just picked, like, I think what people would say maybe are like some of his most popular books. So I got A Tale of Two Cities. The themes of this one are like injustice, it says resurrection, imprisonment, social anarchy. I literally know nothing about this, so we will see together. I also picked up Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. This is another one of his books, I think maybe even more than A Tale of Two Cities, that people say if there's one book that you read of his, let it be this one. Again, I don't know. I've not read Charles Dickens. This is like the first book I think out of the entire haul so far that does not have deckled edges, but it does have that really cool flap. And from what I've heard, this one touches on the great, kind of like the great expectation of life and how you have expectations for your life and want these things, but at what cost? I'm interested. I'm definitely interested. Next book I picked up is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Okay, so this I think is a show, right? Or a movie. Anyway, I watched this really cool video on YouTube that was like 10 classics. This is kind of what spurred this trip to Barnes today, but it was 10 classics that every Christian should read, and this was his #1 pick. I think it's really cool because it sounds like he's created this dystopian world. This came out in 1932, but this dystopian world where humans are genetically designed and pharmaceutically anesthetized to passively serve a ruling order. But this reminded me, like the genetically designed part really reminded me of IVF. So I am very interested. I'm like, I kind of wanted to like start reading this right now. That sounds so interesting to me. Lastly, I picked up Dracula. This is another rec from that same video. So I've never wanted to read Dracula because I feel like Dracula is just very dark to me and a little bit too spooky for me. Like I thought it would be too evil. But in the video, the guy was saying that this is actually a great comparison. Dracula drinks the blood of others in order to sustain his life. Whereas Christians, we're saved, we're bought with the blood. So Jesus literally gives up his life, gives up his blood in order for those that he calls his. And I think that's a really interesting way to read this book versus like, oh, I want a really spooky book or whatever. Reading it with different eyes and trying to see the themes and how that parallels to like what I personally believe as a Christian. So anyway, I thought that was a very interesting way to look at this book. So that is my haul. That's the last book. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books. They look so great. Time to fix my journal. I have my Goodreads pulled up so I can go back through the list of books. I think what happened is because it took me, when I was traveling, when I read Breaking Dawn or finished Breaking Dawn, for some reason it didn't get tracked properly. So I just need to go all the way back to the beginning and make sure I have every book written down. It's almost making me want to spiral because I'm like, is that the only book I've missed and had no idea? I hope not. Here we are, reading journal. Showed you guys this, but I'll show you guys again. This is my reading tracker updated. I have read, I think, 65 books. That's what I need to kind of figure out the situation. Then my bar chart, I started to fill it in, but I was like, honestly, if these numbers are messed up somewhere, I need to figure out. Then I have my author backlist on this side. I have Taylor Jenkins Reid, Annabelle Monaghan, Sally Rooney, Elin Hilderbrand, which I actually think I might... Have I read another Ellen book? I'm not sure. I might be able to mark more off. And then I have Kristen Hanna, Claire Keegan, Frida McFadden. I've read a lot of Frida books. I should do a little ranking or something. And then Frederick Backman are all of these. I swear I'm a Frederick Backman stan, and I literally have read 1 book. So that's that. Okay. And I left more room to continue that if I want to. And then here's my series tracker. Magnolia Parks, Hunger Games, The Empyrean, 4th Wing series, The Naturals, Once Upon a Broken Heart, Emily Wilde, Hoops, It Ends With Us, Harry Potter, Wayward Pines, Letters of Enchantment, The Shepherd King, Silo Saga, which, why did I put that? I have not even started it, but I'm like, it is a reminder to start this series because I think I'd really love it. The Folk of the Air, Boys of Tommen, Beartown, Part of Your World, The Summer I Turned Pretty, and the Twilight Saga. I definitely marked off Breaking Dawn. I cannot believe I did not write it in the list. Okay, and here's my actual reading log with the number of book, title, star, author, genre. The number helps so that I can match it up with this and make sure it's like looks exactly how it should. Obviously star, author helps so that if I'm referencing the book or talking about it, I can clearly see who writes it. I like to shout out the author when I remember to like say their name. And then I put the genre. Now what I do think I want to add to this page is adding like what month I read it somehow. Like, do I want to color code it? I just love how clean this page looks. So I feel like if I color code it, it will just look very messy. So I need to find a unique way to write what month I read it, because that will also help with the bar chart. Because now figuring out how many books and what, actually maybe I'll just draw a line. Wait, honestly, that's pretty smart. Just draw a line across and then it's very clean that way. Okay, wait, actually, I'm gonna do that right now. And then I am terrible. I think I got burnt out on my other reading journal. So I literally have not like done a review on any, like I've not written my review in here at all. I have been writing more reviews on Goodreads, which is good news, but all that my reading journal is right now is just like tracking my books basically. Okay, now I'm gonna go through and try to figure out what books I read in what month, and then try to figure out where the missing book is, where it's at, what month it was, so that I can fully do a full update. writing device just got here. I'm very excited because there's also these like special pins that have like a ceramic tip. It's a whole thing. It's a whole world out there. Actually came 3 days early.
Open that leg!
I'm trying.
Let me just take my little Shayla out of this. They've never seen this before. This is not on trend yet. They don't even have a clue.
It's not trending on the TikTok yet. So fun.
This is my Shayla writing utensil.
Front light free, natural paper look, natural writing. It feels so good, the writing on this. Clear and durable, lighter and slimmer. Wait, I kind of love this. Very cool.
Wow.
Oh, she's cute. I mean, I think we all know I have to keep the orange. I had to get a snack, a Fresca, so I can really get into this experience. Elin has a half folio from the same company, so I'm gonna borrow this until my case gets here because I ordered one on Etsy and it won't get here for about a month, maybe even longer. So this is what we're gonna use for now. I wanted to show you guys an actual example of me using the Supernote. I pulled some books off the shelf just to show an example of how I would potentially use it. I want to use it only as a writing device, not to get rid of all of my other journaling. So if we used my book, for example, the book that me and Kaylin wrote, This Kind of Love, I would create a folder, create a notebook, maybe the title of the book. Say I picked up this book because I want to specifically learn about or get better at intentionality in my relationship or dating. I would write some key points that I learn or that I think are good from the book, and then I would even take whatever I'm reading and learning from the book, create my own bullet points. Even more important than just copying what you read in a book, paraphrasing. So say there was a section I really liked, word for word, copy that section, and then underneath it, paraphrase it and even add into my own thoughts, opinions, feelings. It would make it very personal. So this is going to be a very private thing. I will make it extremely personal, extremely raw, vulnerable to get the maximum amount out of a book that I read or the thing that I want to learn. And that's my plan for this. Hopefully that helps. I will keep you guys posted on if I continue liking it or if I think it's worth it. Good morning. Happy Saturday. We have no football this week. So I got to sleep in a little bit and we're having our 24-hour readathon in the book club. So I get to actually read a little bit this morning. It's a little bit chillier this morning. Okay, fall is making a very slow entrance into Texas. Yesterday it was still 86, so it's gonna get hotter as the day goes on, but in the morning time, it's beautiful. I have cinnamon rolls baking in the oven, and we're gonna have a game night with our friends tonight. That is just like the perfect Saturday to me. And then we're gonna go to church tomorrow, which like all of that to just look forward to. That is perfect. In the book club, we're doing traveling annotation. I opened this earlier in this video, Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I'm loving it so far. I've only made it to page 78. Here are like the tabs that I've added. I just went with red and blue because it matches the cover. And I thought like based on, there's a little bit of a preface in here and she basically kind of says like the book is going to be about hair, and I was like, okay, interesting. But mind you, this is a almost 600-page book, and I was like, please don't be a fail. Please don't be a fail. And I was just kind of like, how is this gonna really hold my attention, especially to annotate it? That's what I'm mostly worried about, is this is not something I could listen to on audio at all because I want to annotate and underline and really be in the story. Already by 50 pages in, I was like, this is so good. You're following Obinze and Ifemelu. They're leaving Nigeria. It's like military controlled, so they're leaving. She goes to America. He, I think, can't get to America, so he ends up going to London. And then he's kind of messing with these like really sketchy people, and she's getting smacked in the face basically by the reality of being a Nigerian in America. It's interesting because somewhere in the beginning, she basically talks about like in Nigeria, you don't say you're black, but in America, that's a big thing. Like we talk a lot about colorism. We describe people by colors, like light skin, brown skin, dark skin, black American. Like we describe each other and ourselves that way. Whereas in Nigeria, I guess they don't do that. Very interesting. I am loving this just because I'm learning so much about Nigerian culture. I think it's really special when there are people that know where they came from. I think that's so fun. I had to do 23andMe to learn anything about my background, where I'm from, all of that stuff. So I think it's so cool that the culture is still alive and well, and Even just stories about her like going to get her braids done. I'm like, wow, this really is so different from how America is. It's very interesting. So I'm loving it, and this is what I'm gonna read until my cinnamon rolls are done, or really until I have to leave for game night. So it's going great. I have a feeling this is gonna be like a 4.5 star read. Like, I'm really loving it so far. Okay, that's gonna bring us to the end of this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, thank you seriously so much for actually watching, commenting, liking. I appreciate it so much, and it goes really far. And I will see you guys next week.